Hi, welcome to this part of my review featuring the Cowboy Bebop role-playing game Corebook. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review, featuring this tabletop RPG based on the cult classic sci-fi series, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about tests. When it comes to the scenarios that you will experience in this RPG, you will face many different challenges during your adventures. The results of your actions will create different twists, good results, and consequences that will be interesting or dangerous, or both. The outcomes of these risky actions are decided through tests. A test is something a bounty hunter uses to move forward both aspects of the session, that is, the fiction and the mechanics. The big shot or game master doesn't make tests. The big shot responds to what happens in the bounty hunter's tests. For a test to be meaningful, the bounty hunter's character should have a goal they want to achieve and an interesting consequence to face. When these two conditions are fulfilled, it is a test. When a bounty hunter makes a test, two game currencies are created, hits and shocks. The bounty hunter can spend hits to achieve or get closer to an objective. The big shot can spend shocks to make things more interesting, to make actions harder or bring threats closer. You can also employ riffs to tweak the results. Let's talk about choosing the approach, because to make a test, you need to follow certain steps. Each character has 5 different approaches. For a test, of course. Each one a different way to get the job done. For example, the rock approach involves cool actions, where the character is trying to do something under a lot of pressure. Concerning the dance approach, it involves dramatic, exuberant actions, displays of stamina and recklessness. Concerning the blues approach, it involves spirituality, the character's self-awareness and understanding of emotions. Concerning the tango approach, it involves being charming and seductive, or perhaps intimidating and terrifying. When it comes to the jazz approach, it involves analysis, deep understanding, and applying skills. Now, in this section they provide you an example of gameplay, but it is pretty lackluster. You should never ask what do you do after describing the scene. And then they give you examples on the player characters, but some of them are fine. For example, it says here, I shoot a couple of bullets at the guards with my trustworthy revolver. That's perfect. And then it says, then I'll run away, in order to get them to chase me and clear the way for the others. You should handle one action at a time. I shoot a couple of bullets at the guards with my trustworthy revolver. Okay, let's resolve that first. If you're successful, if something else happens, then move on to your next action of running away. So yes, this example is immersion breaking. It is quite chaotic, quite messy. So I would recommend that you do not follow this example. Let's talk about building the base dice pool. The bounty hunter creates a pool of d6s or 6-sided dice. They start with a number of dice equal to the base number of the current session tab. 1 for the first tab, 2 for the second, and 3 for the third. They then add 1d6 for each trait from their chosen approach that was involved in the fiction setup. In some cases, the bounty hunter's character may not have traits to use. If the session is a classic session, they add 1d6 if the traits used by the character have the same approach as the session's genre. We will talk about that in a future part of this review. Then we have information on advantage and disadvantage. Some effects in the game will give you advantage or disadvantage on a test. Advantage means rolling 1 extra die and removing the die with the lowest result, while disadvantage means rolling 1 extra die and removing the die with the highest score. These do not stack together, and they cancel each other out. If the test has both disadvantage and advantage, the roll takes place as normal, ignoring both. And this concludes this part of the review. In the next part we are going to talk about hits, shocks, and riffs. So I like the anime style approach, or rather the approaches, very musical in theme with Cowboy Bebop, but I think that at first you will have a bit of difficulty adjusting to these approaches, Normally you have pretty self-explanatory abilities, stats, attributes depending on the system. So rock approach, dance approach, blues approach. It is not entirely self-explanatory when taking this set of approaches as a whole. But I think that in one session or two, you're going to get the hang of it, surely. Thank you for watching this part of the review, and thank you for your likes and your comments. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. And remember, it is better to roleplay and fail in character than not to roleplay and fail as a player. Once again, thank you, and see you later.